You know that feeling when your chest feels tight and you can't eat, you can't sleep, you hear a song and you suddenly burst into tears? Heartbreak is real, and it doesn't just affect your emotions, it's a full body experience. Today, I'm going to share with you 9 ways to deal with heartbreak so you can not just survive, but also thrive after it. They're all backed up by science, and I've personally tried and tested these on myself and clients. Hi, my name is Petya, and I'm a neuro-linguistic programming coach. I help people identify patterns that are keeping them stuck so they can live the lives they want with intention and purpose. That being said, let's get started. Method number 1 of dealing with heartbreak is expecting the storm. What do I mean by that? So, in the first few weeks after you've ended a relationship, it will feel brutal, very intense. You won't be able to sleep properly. You will wake up in the middle of the night with eyes wide open, cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones rushing through your body because your brain is perceiving the end of the relationship as exclusion. And us, as social animals, we're wired for connection. So what does it mean to the brain if a relationship ends? It means that we're excluded from the tribe and we're in danger. It starts processing it as something horrible, and you start stressing out. If you don't know that this is completely normal, you may think that something is wrong with you. It's not. It's a process. It is not linear. It has ups and downs. Some days will be better and others will feel very, very hard. But as long as you know what to expect, this will reduce the intensity of what you're experiencing and make it a bit easier. I want to also introduce something by the #1 grief expert in the world, David Kessler. He says that grief is a change we did not want. And because you're put in a situation that you did not expect, it's very shocking for you. Another thing that might help you go through this is how David Kessler perceives going through grief. So he says that the fastest way out is through. And he gives an example with buffalo. Buffalo actually see a storm and they go straight in the storm. You know, they don't run away from it because the more they run away, they know that it's gonna catch up with them at some point. And that's what we need to do as well. It's very uncomfortable, it sucks, it's still a process, and it will feel super intense. But as long as you accept it and go through it and allow yourself to really feel all of those emotions, I promise it won't last forever, even though it feels like that. Method number 2 is implementing the blackout rule. And what does this mean? No calls, no text, no contact, no social media, no visual cues, nothing that reminds you of your ex. And this is crucial for healing because your brain gets tricked into grieving for them more and more because you realize, oh, this person is not in my life, I'm so sad, but it keeps you in a loop. So instead of you processing the here and now, which is a reality without them, which still takes time, you're keeping yourself stuck in the past. Sadness is living in the past, but not in a good way. You know, it's just you ruminating over something. While you're doing that, you're keeping yourself stuck. On average, people who maintain contact take 60% longer to recover than people who don't. And think of it in this way. If you have a wound and it needs to heal, but you constantly keep poking it, it's going to take probably twice the time that it actually needs for you to be okay and not feel pain, right? So this is what we're doing. We're trying to protect the wound as it's healing. We're not denying the wound, we're just not poking at it constantly. And what about photos and messages? You might feel like, hey, I don't want to delete this. These are valuable memories. This is part of my life. Valid, all valid. But then archive them. Gather all of the materials from your phone, from your computer, and batch them on an external hard drive. Give it to your mom or parents or, just to a friend, but make sure that it is safe and sound, but you don't have access to it because trust me, it will be way harder if you do. Method number 3, schedule daily grief time. I know this may sound weird, but here's the deal. If you don't allow yourself time to process your emotions properly, they will keep surfacing up and surprising you at times where it's least appropriate, let's say at work or while you're out. And if this happens, don't blame yourself, don't take it bad, it's completely normal. However, if you schedule daily grief time, such as a 20-minute timer, to cry, to write everything down that you feel very frustrated about, sad about, it will actually give you the space to express yourself without any filter. That's actually a physical ritual of detachment, so that you process and you let go. Just allow yourself to be. What this does is 3 essential things. It gives emotions the necessary space to exist and validation, so it prevents buildup, because If there are constantly unprocessed emotions, they build up in your body as stress, which can later on harm your immune system. Number 2, this creates boundaries. So instead of you randomly experiencing times throughout the day where you feel like an emotional mess, you actually go through your emotions and you're less likely to go into spiraling. 3, it trains your brain that emotions are temporary, which they are, but they don't feel like that in the moment, so it's a good reminder. Another thing you could add to that is actually labeling the emotion. That means instead of saying, I feel awful, which is very broad, right? It could mean anything. You say, I feel embarrassed. Or I feel afraid that I'm alone and I may forever be alone. Like, that's a fear. It's okay to voice it out. Better voice it out, because brain scans show that naming emotions reduces their intensity by up to 30%. Lastly, what's the difference between healthy processing and unhealthy rumination? Processing produces new insights and gradual relief, while rumination just replays the old mental loops that keep you stuck. If these techniques are helping you, hit subscribe for next week's video, where I will share exactly how to stop obsessive thoughts about your ex. Method number 4. Verbalize to neutralize. So when you don't share how you feel, you keep it in your system and you feel overwhelmed. You also feel very alone in what you're experiencing. And that's not true. I would recommend picking 2 or 3 really trusted friends that you can share with and share what you're experiencing. Be mindful, though, that those are not people who will rush you and say, oh, don't think about it. Oh, what's the big deal? Oh, just, move on. And also try to be specific. Try to ask them, hey, could I vent in front of you for like 10 or 15 minutes? I would really appreciate that. I need to get something off my chest. Once you are specific, it could set you up for success, because it will also show your friends what you need, so they're more likely to give you that understanding and support. Method number 5, move your body daily. This one is crucial. I cannot emphasize enough about how important this one is. And I'm not just saying it because I'm in sports clothes, but when you're heartbroken, your body is flooded with stress hormones and you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, and, well, physically unwell. However, exercise is the fastest way to rewire your brain chemistry. I read a book of Anders Hansen, a Swedish psychiatrist, who says that exercise is by far the most effective way, if you're consistent with it, to boost your happiness, your confidence, decision-making, and for you to basically become a well-rounded individual. And while you're depressed or going through heartbreak, it's hard, I know, but here's the good thing. You can go for a 20 minutes of exercise and elevated heart rate to boost your mood. What I do recommend, if you feel crushed by life and you don't feel like you have the strength to do 20 minutes of exercise, is actually set a timer for 5 minutes and try to do just that. Most people, once they start, they get into a flow and then they continue. Again, it doesn't have to be anything hard, just walking under the sun or maybe some light stretching at home. Whatever you feel the strength to do, make sure you actually make that effort despite the discomfort, because it can do wonders for you. Method number 6, expand your identity. And this one is powerful because while we're in a relationship, especially if it lasted for years on end, we sometimes tend to lose our identity. We are left wondering, who am I without the relationship? And that's a tough one, but you can definitely find yourself and redefine yourself from that point on, because there are things that you used to love when you were little and before you met that person. I want you to think about those and write them down. Also, think about all the things that you could not do with your ex because either they didn't like them or they didn't have time for them. Think whether you could provide those things for yourself. For example, I had a friend who used to go on walks alone because her ex-boyfriend wanted to have an aim. So he would say, either I have a goal, let's say, to go to the store and buy something, then I can go on a walk, or I don't feel like walking for hours on end just like that. What I mean with this simple example is, well, if you feel like going on walks, you can do that without a boyfriend. Maybe it will feel empty at first, maybe it will feel unnatural, but I promise that it will give you the much needed support that you need. You will show up for yourself, you will give yourself what you need. It could also be a hobby. For example, I used to love Oriental dance when I was younger, but after I went into my relationship, we were so focused on work, we were working together, and there was little to no time for hobbies like that. So we went to the gym and we went walking the dog, but I have not done anything with Oriental dance classes. And after this relationship, I got back to Oriental dance class, and it was something purely of mine that I cherished deeply and I loved. And you can find those activities for yourself too. You could just see this instead of an emptiness. You could think, hey, I have an opportunity here to discover stuff about myself, to be curious, to learn new things, to expand my identity. The idea is to try different things. How psychologists get people out of depression is by getting them to do stuff. So through behavioral activation. Next, we have method number 7, reframe your narrative. And this one is important, aka tell yourself a different story. Because if you're perceiving this from the standpoint of a victim, then we have a problem. You're thinking, why is this happening to me? And that is a very nasty place to be at, because you feel like you can't do anything about it. You're put in a position where you don't want to be in. Life is against you. The world is against you. Well, hey, this is happening for me. What is this teaching me? Like, what are the lessons I could gain? Are there any boundaries that I wasn't okay with in the previous relationship that I could exercise for my new relationship? Should I become a person who says no more often? Did I abandon myself in the previous relationship? I know I had, because I was anxiously attached to my ex, and that's a problem I have, right? Because then my ex would give me an ultimatum, but that ultimatum wouldn't have worked if I wouldn't have complied, right? He would say, oh, you either agree with me or I'm leaving. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I could, I could do this. Yeah, I could adjust. I could this and that. And that made me feel like less of myself. But here's the thing that we don't learn about until it's too late. If you abandon yourself in a relationship, it is very likely that the person next to you will also abandon you, because you become like a shadow of yourself. You are not your own person. You don't have an identity. And so the other person may feel like they have nothing much to abandon, because you are basically an extension of them. And then they're likely to just leave at some point, regardless of how much you try. And I know this because I've lived it, and it's very painful. So it definitely serves you better if you have boundaries, if you have higher standards, if you say no, if you learn to work with your wounds, if you have an abandonment wound, like learn to be self-sufficient, learn to be okay on your own. And that's what my relationship taught me as well. We have method number 8, redesign your environment. I love this one because if we keep living in the same physical space where we were living with our ex, there's constant triggers. There's likely photos, there are teddy bears or other types of presents that your ex would give you, and you constantly keep getting reminded of them. So much like with visual triggers as photos or audio triggers like messages and stuff like that, what I need you to do is rearrange your environment so you make it your own. From here on, whatever you decide to remove or put, it will be your decision connected with your own preference, and it signals to the brain, I'm the captain of my own ship, and I decide how this is going to be, not letting you spiral back into old patterns. You're strategically changing your environment to work for you, not against you. Method number 9. Leverage professional insight or consult experts, because the most successful people know when to bring in experts. We are social animals. We're not supposed to know everything, be able to fix everything on our own. That's a flawed notion. You're not weak if you ask for help. You're someone who is investing in their future self. You're someone who is prioritizing their own well-being. You're someone who's aware, who realizes right now, it's too much for me to deal with this on my own. I need a helping hand, and that is okay. I am fine. I'm perfectly fine. I just need someone to show me my blind spots. I need someone to give me a new perspective. I need someone to guide me through this. And that's perfect, because therapists and coaches can help you go through heartbreak by offering specific tools that have worked for countless people, and offer you, I wouldn't say shortcut, but a more practical solution that works for you and is tailored to your specific situation. So you have the best chances of going through this, healing properly, and getting a better relationship in the future eventually. That being said, I would like to ask you to comment below with which technique resonated most with you. I read every comment, I respond to every comment, I care. I would give you suggestions based on your specific situation. Thank you for watching. I just want to end it on this note. The pain you're feeling has a purpose, or as I say on my website, your pain is not in vain. It's reshaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more aware, more confident, someone who is an action taker and is capable of healthy love in the future. The 9 techniques that I just shared are not just about getting over someone, they're about transforming heartbreak from a devastating setback into a powerful setup for your next chapter. Remember, the depth of your pain reflects your capacity to love, your capacity to give, and those are wonderful attributes. It's you being human. And I just want to remind you, take it one day at a time. Don't force yourself. Go through it. Some days will feel like you're drowning in pain, and that's normal. And progress isn't linear, but it's inevitable if you apply these methods consistently. And until next time, be as gentle with your heart as you would be with someone you deeply love and care about. For personal help applying these techniques to your specific situation, click the link in my description. I would love to have a 30-minute discovery call where we can discuss your specific situation. It's free of any obligation. I would just love to see if we're the right fit and if I can help you with something. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.